Hey guys, Moki here with a video. So yeah, Demon Slayer. I wanted to do something exciting this year. I started talking with my buddy about this because me and him I always share what I'm brainstorming for my channel to him in case if he wants to watch a video, and I talk about it with people at work because I actually talked to my boss because of how well my channel did last month about moving some days around so I can make some more better quality videos for this channel, which is actually something I'm working on right now and will be working on. I'm constantly looking at ways to improve the stuff. If you guys got any comments, let me know. But yeah, Demon Slayer, loved it. But I really liked it. My buddy told me to watch it. The guy from work was talking about it and asked if I was excited about the new movie because we were talking about anime. And so I hadn't watched Demon Slayer, and he wanted to beat me for not watching it. And I ended up watching. Started off, I was going to watch a couple episodes. Ended up watching all the first season in one night, and he told me you could watch it all in a week. Well, because of the way I was working, I really didn't get to watch it in a week. Or within a week. I think it took me 4 days. Or no, he said you could watch it in a day. I think it took me 4 days to watch all of it. But I love it. I really, really love this anime. I even went today I was at Walmart, nosing, as I do, because I like to buy stuff every once in a while that isn't food or, minutes and stuff like that. Well, data, as it's called now. I got volume one. So also, if my nose is running and I don't catch it, I'm trying to catch as much as I can, but I got real bad allergies, so this video is going to be fun and probably have a lot of editing for me to go blow my nose. But yeah, I got Demon Slayer Volume 1, and I'm super excited to actually own it because I watched the whole show, and I'm excited for Infinity Cast. Um, but yeah, they also, one of my buddies also recommended Black Clover, which I'm currently watching, so expect a video on that between now and next year. But in case you didn't know, Demon Slayer is about basically a sibling bond, like a siblings bond. Is how I look at it. Yeah, it's about a siblings bond. So let's get into the video. So let's talk plot. Tenjiro is a charcoal seller, like his father, who is passed. We'll get more into him as the show goes on, like as this video goes on. Uh, Passed, and Tanjiro goes to the village at the bottom of the mountain he lives on to sell charcoal, and ends up resting in a man's house that he knows. And when he goes back to his house the next day, everybody in his family's dead except for Nezuko, who kind of just attacks him out of nowhere, from what I'm remembering. I haven't watched the show since I finished it, but I'm pretty sure she does. I will double check in the manga later and correct it if I remember to. Um, and he meets Giyu, who and him and Tanjiro fight. No, Tanjiro. I don't know why I keep wanting to say Tanjiro. Tanjiro. I think it's because it's the way it's pronounced, but Tanjiro. You guys can yell at me all you want for not pronouncing it right away. They fight for like, I don't know, like 10 minutes in the episode until Tanjiro almost gets him with an axe but gets knocked out. So he ties up Nezuko and him, and he ends up telling him to go meet Sakanji, I think is how it's pronounced, who ends up training Tanjiro to go to Final Selects. He meets this one ghost dude, which I was shocked to find out was a ghost dude later on in the show. That was one of the moments that kind of gut punched me in this show. There's a couple times it does that, but not very often. I can't remember what his name is. I'll have to look it up or put it in this. But then he ends up meeting Inosuke and Zenitsu, and they kind of become like a team, and they're constantly working with each other, constantly training with each other, especially Inosuke because he likes to try to one up them. And Inosuke is my favorite character of the show. He is so funny. Zenitsu's all right. When he's in like that calm mode, even though all he can do is first form Thunderclap, if I remember right. But yeah, first season I didn't like. I liked it. And as the show goes on, he meets the Hashiras and the Master. We'll get into that more as get the script done. Hey guys, Smokey here, and this is editing Smokey. Got the video done. All excited. Turns out I forgot to talk about Muzan, the main villain of the show. So apparently there's a theory that he's inspired by Michael Jackson. Me and my buddy were talking about. I said his name. He goes, Michael Jackson. I was like, I'm not the only one that thinks that, and we were talking about it. So this, part's gonna be cursed with Michael Jackson Muzan images. But
Yeah, so I learned that Michael Jackson was a big anime fan thanks to this, um, and manga and comics. But Muzan, I don't really know what to say about him as a character because in the show they don't focus on him as much as they do the other demons. But I do want to talk about when Tanjiro first meets him, and I, while watching that, I was thinking, oh, he's gonna fight him right here and then. But instead, moves on to scratches somebody, thinking that Tanjiro's just a low level, not even paying attention to what Tanjiro's looking like and why Tanjiro would be after him. He just didn't give a crap. He just thought he was a low ranked demon slayer, which was true because he was barely a demon slayer at this point in time. And after the fight, he starts, realize it. But when Tanjiro's looking at him, he doesn't talk to him. He's just thinking about what he's going to do. It's like he's completely afraid of him. And I thought that was done really, really well. And Muzan's family, and people are wondering what happened to him. And most people think he just devoured him. I mean, it's possible, but I'm kind of curious to see if Muzan's going to win or they're going to turn him human thanks to Nezuko, or what's going to really happen in Infinity Castle, or whatever happens after Infinity Castle. So yeah, that's my thoughts on Muzan Kitsubushi Suji, or however you say it. Just wish he was developed more. All right, guys, you're gonna get a real kick out of this. Get the Muzan clip finished. Forgot to talk about the ending of the show right before they go um into Muzan's lair. So right before, as I like to call it, shit hitting the fan. Um, Muzan Jackson here. He's talking with the um master of the demon slayers, and they're glad to finally meet each other, talking. And that fight, or not that talk fight, because it wasn't a fight. They were just having banter as rivals that have never really met each other. And I liked how they're talking, and Muzan's like, I could kill them all, but this doesn't seem right. Like he's thinking. And then I was actually shocked that the master of the demon slayers killed himself, his wife, and his children to try to stop Muzan. I thought that was pretty cool, but I was shocked at the same time, and it made me cry a little. Ain't gonna lie. So there was that. Then everybody just going after Muzan left and right. Oh my god, that was done so well. Damn, that went hard. Anyways, now that is it for this part. Let's get into the rest of the video. All right, guys. So now, because I didn't take as many notes as I thought I did, so we're gonna kind of go through like my thoughts, but just kind of go through all the stuff throughout the seasons. Like the marks that they have on their heads. I asked my buddy what they were, and then we talked about it's like he's like I was like yes or no question. Are the burns, birthmarks, scars, wherever they are they there for a reason? Because Tanjiro has one right off the bat, throughout the whole show, pretty much. Even though he says he got, well, whenever he got burned. And then I told him, I can see how Demon Slayer could be watched in a day. I finished, at this point in time, I had only watched episode 2. And my buddy's like, okay, if you don't like it, it's understandable. Okay. I told him I'd let him know more about it when I got to episode 5. Let's see. I thought season 5 was the new movie because my buddy said it was a new season, and yeah. Let's see. That has okay. That one has nothing to do with that. I'm just going through what I've said. And then I asked him what years it took place. I thought it was like 1800s at the earliest. And I was like, okay, it being in the early 1900s still kind of works because their world's not that far about. And I said, and then I asked him what he wanted about my season 2 thoughts, and he wanted to know what I thought of Rengoku. At first, I was like, I didn't really like Rengoku because me and him were kind of arguing about it. I thought, like I was telling him what I thought of all the Hashiras or Hirashi or whatever they're called. I'm pretty sure it's I can't remember how it's pronounced, but um, and I told him what I thought of each one at that point in time, and I told him Rengoku just reminds me of kind of like an overdramatic, typical like 1940s hero, like and a little bit like 66 Batman. And he goes, "Did you like?" He's like, "I want to know if your opinion changed and if I liked or disliked him." And I was like, "I didn't dislike him. He just kind of reminds me of your typical hero." And his story was sad and it's a cliche format, but they handled it all right. With him just wanting to be what do what his father did, and he just wanted to be a demon slayer, and he trained hard and was still considered worthless until he died literally thinking his dad thought he was worthless. I told him they should have gave him more time for his character, and they might have in the manga, they might have not. I know there's like a prequel comic or manga, not comic, sorry. That's about him and one of the other ones, the one that he meets, that fights him in Nezuko at the beginning. Um, then I asked him how many times Tanjiro breaks and loses his swords, and he goes, he wanted me to rephrase it. I was like, how many times and we talked about it. It was like 2 or 3 times because he eventually gets the original demon or the first demon slayer's sword, or the one the one that Tanjiro looks like. Uh, then we talked about it. And then first one, he lost his first sword from inexperience. Second time, he threw a demon when it killed Rengoku. Uh, um, then we kind of I talked about something, and it's not making sense to me why I was like, but I didn't know if it was a reoccurring. That's what it was supposed to be. Thing like Gohan not training or Naruto relying on shadow clones, stuff like that. This other animes I've watched, and I was using those as experiences to reference kind of like and then I finished season 3 ago, and then I talked about how when the demons die and they go into like where they're seeing the events that turn them into demons, and they're remembering their lives before that. It reminds me of when they go into death scenes in the Assassin's Creed games, where it shows you talking to them outside of the game world. And then I had at this point in time, I only had 18 episodes left in total. Uh, then skipped about I was halfway through season 4. I go, I'm really enjoying it. And then asked if Nezuko ever talked again, and I talked about how the like her and I think this is right around when they're in the village with the one dude's wife's. I think it's that fight or another fight where she's the one where she's being burned up. And she starts talking after that, because I know I'm talking about her going feral and talking with her mom, and I don't remember if it's when Tanjiro's singing the lullaby to her or not. And then we start talking about uh, her and Zensu. Um, According to the wiki, they get married. I don't know if that's in the manga because I'm not caught up in the manga. Um, but I'm trying to get caught up, especially before Infinity Castle comes out. And me and my buddy were trying to talk about them. At this time, I was still confused on names, and I know it's like season 4, and it's like seriously, you're still confused. I I wasn't really like paying attention to the names. I was paying attention to the story. Uh, then I put for some reason Infinity Tower instead of Infinity Castle as the. I asked him if that's where the the demons were, where they meet up and stuff, and he still talked about Zetsu and Nezuko. And then we kind of just talked about how he's more obsessed with her, and he's like, I don't see that being the thing, and you know, just kind of kind of shit talking each other's theories for a minute. Um, and then we just kind of talked about that more. Let's see. Then we started talking about what they're coming for towards the end before they start the training arc. At the end for the Hashiras, where we're talking about. I asked him if Nezuko was a half demon, and because she can survive in the sunlight, he goes, "No, I think she burns from the sun. I think, but I also forget. But later on, she's like according to the wiki, she chose like then we talked about like she chose to be able to survive in the sunlight instead of talking, even though she's kind of talking." And I kind of compared it to Blade from the Marvel universe being like a daywalker kind of deal. And he goes, I don't think she can survive that because they're talking about the blue spider lily. It's like no Law just said she's a rare case, and he basically wants to absorb her. And then he deleted a couple messages. I don't know what he said. Yeah, they talked about her fake death being another gut punch, which was true. I cried at. Okay, all right. We were talking about we talked about more about Infinity Castle. Then they were talking about how because there was another spoiler about who Tanjiro marries, um, and he's like they weren't really romantically involved. And you go, yeah, it makes sense because it's more of like a competitive thing. But I mean, who knows what's going to happen within the next, in the movie. And like I said, I haven't read the manga, and I'm going to eventually. So I wouldn't mind doing like some of the training stuff they do in that because my grandpa has a big enough yard I could literally build something like what they have at the Butterfly Mansion. Um, then right before the last episode, this part's funny. I asked my buddy if the master dies. Okay, like the last couple episodes because I don't remember exactly when he died, and he goes, "Who?" I go, "The master of the demon slayers." He goes, the one with the two short girls. I don't know. I think he's about to at the end. I go, that's what I thought. Because during the meeting about the marks and Muzan coming after Nezuko, the higher ranks, his wife holds a meeting because he's too sick. Then I talked about the pink and green haired lady. I can't remember her name off the top of my head, and I apologize. Which it's in the long run, it's probably better that I don't remember him, so I'm not butchering all the names. But talked about where her mark was at compared to everybody else's being on their head. And he goes, he didn't notice that. He went back and watched it. Then goes, how'd you notice that? I was like, I was playing Roblox and just happened to look up at the time her mark appeared. Um, and he called me a weirdo for that. I was like, okay. I was like, I don't know. Then we kind of just talked about her design in general. It's like the demons for the swordsmith village were kind of mid. I didn't like them that well. I mean, and then it's like blah blah blah. And then I asked if the snake-haired Hashira, like the pink and green-haired one, and I was watching, and then I talked about like where he's pissed at Tanjiro for her feeding him, kind of like a jealousy thing. And I go, and I finished it, and Infinity Castle picks off where they left off at. Um, I was right about being the Infinity Castle. Also, I was pissed how this show ends, where it just kind of ends. And I'm really curious to see where it goes from here. Um, I'm excited for the movie, and that's it. So, like, comment, share, subscribe. If you guys want me to react to more or talk about Demon Slayer after the movie comes out, I will do that in its own video, and then I will add it to this video. So, yeah, that's it. Peace.